Oh, and turn off your cell phones.
Oh my goodness. A lot of familiar faces. Thank you all for coming. This is more of a big deal than I thought it was going to be when I agreed to do this. And Terry, of course, planned everything, and she knows how to produce and direct a program. However, these are not all my stories, Terry. These are some of them. I have 100 more stories that are sitting in folders, stacked up in notebooks, and some on a hard drive. But some of the stories in this book were memories that I had carried around for many, many years. And some of them were actually written 30 and 32 years ago on a Royal Portable typewriter to really date myself. And I just never did anything with them. And every 10 years or so, I would pull out one or two, particularly White Rose, and I would tinker with it and I would revise it. It was originally written as fiction, and then it was a play, a two-person dialogue, and then it was third-person narrative, and then it was a point of view here, and then it was a different point of view, and I always couldn't let go of it, and a few other stories. So finally, it found its way into where it always belonged, in a memoir, in first person, because it's my story. All of the stories that are in this collection are memories, and they're my perception and they're my truth. My family doesn't always agree with the way that I saw things as I grew up, which is always the case in families. But I want to share some excerpts from a few of them with you. And the question I get asked the most is, why would you call it White Rose? Well, the answer is that's the title story. Why is it that title story? I said to people, you have to read it to find out. However, if you think about white roses, they are much more ephemeral than the red ones. If you have a bouquet of flowers, of red roses, and there's one white rose, the white rose usually fades first. And that's been my experience. The rest is in the piece. And what I thought I'd do is just read a small excerpt from White Rose, because I'll never get through the whole thing. And it's a long piece. So I just picked a few excerpts from a few stories. And they may be out of context when you read the whole memoir, but some of them are actually standalone pieces. White Rose. Water. I lost him slowly, gradually, in agony and grief. My worst fear was that he would leave me. He told me in 1,000 ways that he would never stay with me. I didn't believe him. He led me down the steps to the sandy Venice beach. I wore a bikini and no shoes. He liked me to look free and not carry anything, just hold his hand. I would go anywhere with this man. The sun warmed my tan skin, and the pounding of the surf was like my heartbeat, happy and steady and strong. A lone girl strolling in the sand turned to look at us, and in her eyes, I saw the me that longed, was lonely, felt desolate. The look she wore on her face was a look I recognized. It was envy. And I wanted to turn to her and scream that in just a moment I would be her again, and that the bliss was fleeting and would surely be gone. I wanted to cry out, no, you don't see this the way it really is. Don't imagine that I have something you don't. It's all an illusion. There is no safety. I wanted to tell her I was alone too. I knew abandonment and desolation, and that this very man who looked on me now with love would no doubt leave me again. This man who held my hand so tightly would soon be gone. I wanted to tell her that this was just a moment in time. I am you, I thought, but I didn't tell. I held on to my moment in the sun. That's all I will read from White Rose. If your father doesn't love you. I didn't want to write about my father. He wounded me with a sharp-edged sword called criticism that severed my heart and raped my ego. I hated him because I thought he didn't love me. I didn't want to write about him because I thought the pain would kill me, the way looking into a solar eclipse without sunglasses would blind me. Yet I must look, and I must write, or I will never be free to love myself. My father never liked me. He said everything I did was wrong. He would show me that he could do it better. I tried to make him like me. I tried to do everything right. I failed. When I was 8 years old, playing with a puzzle, I noticed him watching me from across the room as I slowly fit the pieces together. He got up, walked over, and took a piece out of my hand, saying, "Here, that's not right. Let me show you how to do it." He put the entire puzzle together for me. I lost interest in puzzles immediately. And so it went. With everything I tried, it was always wrong. I was always wrong. I was incompetent. I was not a good girl. My father was competent at everything he did, from the plumbing to the painting of the house, to the electrical appliances he fixed by himself. He was patient and took his time until he got it done. When any of my toys broke, I picked up the shattered pieces in my hands and brought them to him, expecting him to put them together. He could do anything. I thought he was Superman. I could never measure up, and he always reminded me of that fact. "You didn't do that right," was the usual commentary. I don't remember his ever hugging me, showing me any affection, or ever saying, "Good job." If your father doesn't love you, who will? If you're a girl and your father doesn't love you, what man will? Epilogue to a funeral. I throw a shovel full of gritty sand, allegedly from Israel, on his coffin, and watch in disbelief as a long gray box is lowered in slow motion next to my mother's gravesite, going down slowly, slowly. I say the words silently to myself, embarrassed by them. "Goodbye, Daddy." In my peripheral vision, I catch the splendid sight of a squirrel in the grass, standing up on his back paws about 20 feet away. I feel the corners of my mouth turn up into an unplanned reflexive smile and turn away from the coffin to watch. The furry little creature stands upright, facing the ceremony as if to witness this moment. His paws are wrapped around something he holds onto tightly. His glorious bushy tail curled around him on the ground. I stare, coffin still going down in slow motion. But I cannot take my eyes away from the squirrel. Suddenly, two groundsmen wearing park green uniforms approach him. I'm afraid. Please, no, I pray. Let him stay. I need him here. One of the men reaches into his shirt pocket. I stop breathing. The animal freezes in his spot, not moving or running away, still standing up attentively. Tears roll down my face, and the smile fades. I think that they are going to poison or injure my squirrel. The man takes out a small orange square wrapped in cellophane, carefully unwraps it, and hands it directly to the little guy, who takes it rapidly and begins munching on it. It looks like one of those peanut butter cracker sandwiches from a candy dispenser. I exhale gratefully. My squirrel is alive and well and being cared for. When I turn back to the coffin, it is disappearing deep into the opening in the ground. I think, Dad's gone. The words that come to me now, are the ones given to Jeff Goldblum in the film Jurassic Park. Words used to predict the uncanny survival of dinosaurs unable to reproduce. The words are, "Life will find a way." That's the line. It struck me at the time and has stayed in the part of my brain that stores my forever words. I see my relatives getting into their cars, starting up the engines, everyone rushing madly to get away from coffins in the earth and illness and dying and all of our relentless futures, rushing away, going where? If they hurry, they can get there sooner. I hear my name being called out, but I'm on my way over to the groundsman, for there lies my solace, not in the car with my family. I tell him, "I saw you feeding the squirrel as we buried my father." He smiles. "We feed them all the time." I feel a need to acknowledge this man, his nurturing, his significance in the universe. I blurt out some words about the profound sense of completion he has given me today. Then I tell the rabbi, who stands quietly nearby, still holding his little black prayer book, having just completed in Hebrew the prayer for the dead. I say excitedly, "Did you see the squirrel?" This is important. I search his clear eyes, waiting for validation. Will he understand? In the distance, I hear them calling me. The rabbi takes my hand and holds it as he gives me the words I need to keep in my heart. He says exquisitely, "Yes, it is a sign."